What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. We got the 2021 Hall of Fame, baby, this weekend. And obviously, I got to give a shout out to the best, Peyton Manning, one of my favorite all-time athletes, definitely in my top three. Being born in Indiana, you have to love Peyton Manning. You really do. And to me, this is great for Peyton and the Colts, Indianapolis Colts in general. We should really get down and thank Peyton Manning for what he's done for the city of Indianapolis. It's amazing. His whole career's been, to me, it's an A. I would say an A+, yes. And, in the past, I gave him some, really gave him some disrespect when they lost to the New Orleans Saints back in 2009. I blame Peyton Manning at the time, but honestly, it was coaching that lost us that Super Bowl. If we had Tony Dungy, no way in heck we're in that position. If worst comes to worst, that's a tie ball game. So I don't blame Peyton Manning for his interception. I get that. If we really look at the coverage, I thought, Reggie Wayne could have ran a better route. I thought Reggie Wayne could have came in on the ball a little bit faster, playing in the Super Bowl down by 7 at the time, in the fourth quarter. I just thought it would play differently, but what Peyton's done for the Indianapolis Colts, it's amazing to me. He's a 14 times Pro Bowler, 14 times. I mean, we can't even make that up. That's crazy. He's a 5-time NFL MVP, 03, 04, 2008, 2009, and 2013. And obviously his last year in the NFL was in 2015. And yes, he did win a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos then. And I understand a lot of people, speculate and say, was it Peyton Manning that won him that Super Bowl? I get that. Denver Broncos had one of the best defenses we've ever seen that year in 2015. But we have to understand Peyton did have a good regular season that year. He was playing well. I get it. His arm was kind of losing it halfway through that season in 2015. But at the end of the day, Peyton Manning is the 2-time Super Bowl champion. One with the Colts and one with the Denver Broncos. And he's a Super Bowl MVP when the Colts beat the Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl. It was amazing. And Peyton, obviously, I really thought they could have won New Orleans. Like I said, if Dungy would have stayed just a couple more years. But so many greats that Peyton Manning's played with, including Marvin Harrison, which I expect to be at the ceremony for Peyton Manning. Guys like Reggie Wayne, I expect. Jeff Saturday. The list goes on and on, dude. Edgerrin James. Obviously the GOAT, Tom Brady. And a lot of people speculate, definitely people from Indiana say, how could you say Peyton Manning's not the GOAT and say Tom Brady? Look, when it comes to that, it's like Tom Brady, then Peyton Manning, I would say top 2 in our generation ever. I would definitely say that. Yes, Joe Montana was great, but what Peyton Manning did for the Colts, it's crazy. His career touchdowns was 539 career touchdowns. I mean, that's crazy, dude. Yes, he did have 251 interceptions throughout his career, but a lot of great quarterbacks threw interceptions, okay? Tom Brady's threw interceptions in the Super Bowl, so we can't just lead it all on that, okay? Almost 72,000 yards passing for Peyton Manning. Actually, 71,940 yards passing. So, Peyton, he's already a legend. He's a legend, dude. It's been set in stone. But this Hall of Fame, it's going to be great. The ceremony's going to be good. I can't wait to see the class of 2021. It's going to be amazing. But when we hear Peyton Manning, we should say, hey, kids like myself obviously I'm not a kid anymore, but being born from Indiana, we should look at that and say, look, man, what Peyton Manning's done, dude, it's done so much for the city, dude, of the Colts, man. When he first came in here in the late 90s, the Colts were trash. We have to understand that coming in from Tennessee, the Colts didn't really have anybody. No hope, no nothing. And then we started to add a couple pieces for Peyton Manning. Added a receiver named, what's his name? Let's think. Marvin Harrison, one of the best receivers to ever play the game. And then Reggie Wayne from the U. Brandon Stokely was actually a role player. He was a role player, really. The slot receiver, really good, really fast. But the Colts, they've always had good slot receivers. Yeah, really, though. Dallas Clark, another great tight end, that you wouldn't really think that Dallas Clark would be a good tight end, right? We look at Dallas Clark and say, oh, this guy can't play football, but he did. He played great with Peyton Manning, and so many achievements that Peyton Manning's done, obviously playing with the greats. One of my all-time greatest Colts football players, Bob Sanders, playing alongside with Bob Sanders. I expect Bob Sanders to be at the ceremony for Peyton Manning. I expect a lot of the Indianapolis Colts, ex-Indianapolis Colts players that played with Peyton Manning and also competed against Peyton Manning to be at the ceremony. I really do. Why not, dude? Paying homage, paying respect to one of the greats that we've ever seen, dude, in Peyton Manning. It's amazing, dude. He's a two-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 2004, 2013. It's amazing, dude. Decades in the league, in the big league. And I understand he got hurt with his neck back in 2011, 2012 time. And that's when the Colts released him. And that was really one of the saddest days of my life. You know, obviously being a huge diehard Colts fan, being a huge Peyton Manning fan. One of my favorite athletes of all time. And we let him go. And I didn't really agree with it at the time. And I still don't. You know, and we could say, you know, Peyton didn't win because of Peyton. He won because of his defense. But at the end of the day, what did Peyton Manning do? He got released from the Indianapolis Colts, and he went to the Denver Broncos and won a Super Bowl. That's what we do know. He went on to another team and won a Super Bowl and retired right after the Super Bowl. Amazing, dude. Peyton Manning, he's a smart guy. You know, IQ-wise of the game, he's probably the best. And IQ, and we could say Tom Brady's up there as well, IQ-wise. I just think, obviously, when Peyton says his Omaha audibles, you know, the Omaha, he says it a lot. I love that, you know. But Peyton, he just has the IQ. You know, he's the point guard of the team. He knows what they're going to do. You know, he can read coverages the best that we've ever seen. You know, even better than Tom Brady, the GOAT. Yes, he can read coverages better than anybody that's ever played the game. You know, he can already dissect, okay, this safety's going to go drop deep or he's going to blitz. He can just read them. They're playing, man, this is what we're going to do. I love Peyton for that. And yes, Peyton did have the knack of, oh, is he a clutch player? You know, can he do this? You know, can he do that? You know, always coming up short against the Patriots back in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004, you know, that era, always coming up short. You know, and I remember another heartbreak. I believe it was in 06, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been 09 maybe, somewhere around that time. I think it was before the Super Bowl, before they won. They lost to the Chargers in the playoffs, and that was really a heartbreak. And I don't even blame Peyton for that. I blame our defense for that because if you guys remember, a guy named Darren Sproles, he went off for the San Diego Chargers that year. And in that game, I think he rushed for almost 200 yards that game, all-purpose yards. It was crazy, but that was another heartbreak being a Colts fan. But, you know, beating the Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl, it was just the icing on the cake. It was one of the things, it was just so sweet. You know, it was amazing, dude. Seeing Peyton get MVP, you know, much well-deserved. Obviously, I really thought leaning more towards Bob Sanders, you know, interception, forced fumble for a defensive player in the Super Bowl. But hats off to Peyton. Getting it done, dude. Throwing touchdown passes, playing great in the rain in Miami. It was awesome, dude. And obviously, you know, coming up short against the New Orleans Saints, excuse me. You know, it was just one of the things. Hey, you know, we got to outcoach that game, and that's really what it boiled down to. You know, hats off to the Saints and Sean Payton for getting that job done. But, you know, I really thought, you know, looking back at the Colts organization, I think if Tony Dungy would have stayed another 4 or 5 years, you know, honestly, maybe even another decade, not maybe a decade, but at least 5 years, I do think the Colts would have definitely won another Super Bowl. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think, you know, Tony Dungy and Peyton, they clicked well, and they knew each other great. You know, they still had Reggie Wayne. You know, Marvin Harrison was getting towards the end of his career, but still, you know, I really do. That's one thing I do regret is Tony Dungy retiring. I really do think the Colts would have won a little bit more, and I do think the Indianapolis Colts, you know, Robert Mathis, those guys, the defense were great. Gary Brackett, I expect those guys to be at the ceremony for Peyton Manning. It's going to be amazing, but I do think, you know, the Colts really could have won more. They could have won 2 at least, dude. We really could have won 3 Super Bowls if we look at it really down to a science. But, you know, ifs, ands, or buts, whatever happened, we're still champions. The Indianapolis Colts are still champions. Peyton Manning is a Hall of Famer, first ballot. End of story, dude. It's going to be a great ceremony, man. I love Peyton Manning. You know, all the Peyton Manning haters, to now it's like, you know, people have grown up, and it's stop being a hater now, okay? Peyton Manning, you should not hate on Peyton Manning. He's a first-class guy, first-class organization. He takes his teammates first, you know, family first, God, all those things. So I think, you know, Peyton Manning, he deserves the most honor and respect for this ceremony. And it makes sense why guys like the AKA the GOAT, Tom Brady's going to show up. He's saying, you know what, this is Peyton Manning here. I understand I competed against Peyton Manning throughout my career, have my wins and losses. Yes, I have more losses against Peyton, Yeah, or excuse me, has more wins against Peyton in the playoffs. We go back to the, Colts, Patriots. Back in the day when it was snowing always in New England, we just never could have got it done. And yes, Peyton did throw a couple bad interceptions back in the day in 03, 04. I get that, but with Brady showing up, beating Brady at Indianapolis in 07, being down, I believe it was 21-6, something crazy like that. Maybe even 24-6, or 21-3 at half, something like that. And we come back and win and go off to win the Super Bowl. And I think, that was one of Brady's hardest losses there. At the RCA Dome at the time, dude. And it looked like the Patriots going to run away from it, right? And the Colts just battled back, dude. And it was amazing. It really was. So, with guys like Tom Brady showing up, and I expect more future Hall of Famers, and obviously Hall of Famers already to show up at the ceremony for Peyton, to idolize him, really. I mean, I understand. But seriously, to look up to Peyton and say, man, he's a class act. He's a role model. He's just what, young kids right now playing football, coming on up, should look at Peyton Manning, should be like, you know what, I want to be like Peyton. I want to play like Peyton. Yeah, I want to read coverages like Peyton Manning, dude. Straight up. That's what they should be like. That's what the kids should say, is be like, I want to be like Peyton Manning when I grow up. Whether you're playing football or not. But definitely the kids in football right now and are playing quarterback, you should be like, dude, I strive to be like Peyton Manning. Okay, I want to put in the time. I want to study the film. I want to know coverage, different types of coverages, tricks and defenses, what to do, when to do it. Okay, we're talking to a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 1-time Super Bowl MVP in Peyton Manning, dude, a 4-time NFL passing touchdowns leader, a 3-time NFL passing yards leader. Okay, like I said, 14 times Pro Bowl. Okay. 14 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts and 4 seasons with the Denver Broncos. Obviously, the last year with Denver, he won a Super Bowl. But looking at it, 18 years in the NFL, and I get it, he missed one year, maybe 1.5 due to the neck. But, looking at Peyton Manning from his start all the way to high school, to Tennessee, to the Colts, to Denver, to, retiring, Hall of Fame now, to me, it's an iconic story. It really is. And if I would have rated out of 10 for Peyton Manning, I would rate it a 9.5. The only reason I don't give him Peyton Manning a 10 is I really think that Peyton, and I think Peyton deep down knows that, man, I would like to just win a second Super Bowl for the Colts. I really do believe Peyton thinks, man, we should have won 2 Super Bowls with the Indianapolis Colts. We really should have, looking back. But hey, there's no regrets at all. So every Peyton Manning fan and every non-Peyton Manning fan, they should stay tuned into this and say, you know what? Peyton Manning did it the right way, baby. Shout out to Peyton Manning, baby. It's the Clown with Cab show. Let's go!